Hey, thanks again for joining another Live with Tim. We always love having special guests, and as you know, if it's another Live with Tim, there's another guest coming your way. This is number 17. Wow, I cannot believe it. This great idea came from my amazing comms secretary, Janae. Thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication. May the Lord continue to bless you. I will say that this week's guest is one of my favorite people in the United States Senate, frankly, one of my favorite people in the world because he loves the Lord and is a great person. James Lankford, the senator from the great state of Oklahoma, is our guest today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. You love me so much you made me number 17 on the list. It's like you almost ran out of people before you got to me.
Well, we have one more person to go actually, so it's not quite the last person. So we saved the best for last, which is the good news.
You practice on everybody else.
Exactly. We're still practicing, so you're making this better actually. I want to start off with the news of the day, and there's no doubt that perhaps on most people's minds right now is the notorious RBG, as she is known, the death of our Supreme Court Justice, who was without any question someone who was known for being fierce, tenacious, but also bridging the gap in powerful relationships like the one she had with Justice Scalia.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on
Obviously, everybody calls her trailblazer, and I think it's right to call her trailblazer. For my wife and for my two daughters, they look backwards towards the glass ceilings that she just shattered. I think about early on in her legal career, no one in New York City would hire her at any law firm anywhere in New York City because she's a woman. And to think that she went from early in her legal career, not being hired by any New York City law firm, to being on the Supreme Court, is taking her profession all the way to the top on it. And so it really is a shattering of a glass ceiling for everything in that boys club that was the lawyer group for so long. It's a big deal to be able to see that. Now we didn't agree on some of her interpretations on the Constitution.
Agreed.
But what she did and how she handled it and the tenacity of her argument and her friendship across the aisle with Scalia, it was pretty amazing.
It was indeed. And I'll tell you, one thing we could use more today in America and frankly in every major body in the country is more folks crossing that so-called line to form healthy, positive relationships. And I was looking at this here, Color Conscious.
That's old now.
This is 4 years ago. We were on the cover of this magazine together, and this was right around the time that you came up with the concept of Solution Sundays, and you allowed me to partner with you on it. You were a pastor before you became a senator.
Right.
Can you walk us through, because I want to talk about Solution Sunday and what we were doing on the front cover of this magazine, but I also want to talk about moving from the pulpit to a different kind of preaching.
Yeah, so I was in youth ministry for 22 years before I came to Congress. My wife calls this life's greatest interruption for us. This was not on our lifelong plan. I don't come from a legal family. I don't come from a political family. I just come from a family.
Yes.
So for me, this was a jarring for us, but we really sensed God calling us to do this in 2008 and 2009. And my wife and I spent about 7 months struggling with that, saying, God, this is crazy. We don't know anybody in politics. We've never been in politics. We've never run for any office before. But it was this overwhelming sense that this is what we're supposed to do. It wasn't like lightning bolts in the clouds. It wasn't God saying, thou shalt run for Congress. It wasn't. It was just, we knew this is what we were supposed to do. And as we prayed about it, we felt this is what God was calling us to. So September the 1st of 2009, I resigned from my job and started running for Congress and spent the next year just living off our life savings, which as a youth pastor was not much, and ran for Congress. But we just felt like this was the place we were supposed to be doing ministry and the task. And so spent a lot of time, preparing on the issues and continuing to be able to help people in every way that I can. I was helping families in youth ministry. I'm helping families now in Congress.
Excellent. Well, you are the person who came up with the Solution Sunday. We partnered together on it. Will you tell our audience about Solution Sundays and how it might be the panacea, perhaps too strong of a word, but the closest thing to a panacea for the current tension in our culture, I think, is Solution Sundays.
Yeah, so we Tim and I both did, but I started about 5 years ago, actually just saying to people in my state in Oklahoma, has your family ever invited a family of another race to your home for dinner? Now that may not seem like a big deal, but most everybody I talk to, of every race that I talk to, when I said to them, has your family ever had a family of another race in your home for dinner? they would just say to me, I have friends of another race. And I would always say, that's not what I asked. I didn't ask you if you have friends. I said, has anyone ever been in your home for a meal? And they would sheepishly make up excuses, and I would just say, hey, do this. For a lot of people that I've met, it's like the threshold of their home and with their family becomes a threshold of deeper race relations. Inviting someone from another race into your home is just inviting a friend to your home. It's not that radical of an idea. It's a pretty straightforward, simple idea to say, invite someone over. So I would just encourage people to say, if you've never had a family of another race to your home for a meal, just invite them over. What I've heard back from that over and over and over again is from people saying, I did that and it was a bigger deal than I thought.
Wow.
I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It became a big deal because it developed not just friendly, but friendships, and my family experienced something different. And what I say to people all the time is, your kids pick up the signals from you. And if there's never anyone from another race in your home, or they never see mom or dad interacting with someone from another race, they pick that signal up. You don't have to say a thing on that. So break that down immediately. Show your kids, hey, this should be normal conversation and normal relationships, and begin to be able to tear that down. You can't develop friends without developing friendships.
I love that. I oftentimes say the best things in life are sometimes caught, not taught.
Yeah.
So you catch with your family, your parents, your loved ones, the folks that you have great respect in. If they're doing something, you're going to do it. There's a great scene in the movie 42 where this young man is sitting with his father at this baseball game, and his father starts yelling some extreme comments from a racial perspective, and the son didn't know what to do. He was frozen for just about 3 or 4 seconds. And in the movie, the next thing you see is he's yelling the same thing, and I can see the picture in my head right now. So what you just talked about is the difference from catching something and being taught something. You follow the behavior that's modeled before you. And that's why Solution Sunday is so critically important. And I will say, as a guy who's had the good fortune of growing up in a fairly diverse family, for the last 15 years or so, my best friend who actually led me to the Lord, Roger, and his family come over for Christmas and Thanksgiving, as well as some other friends who are Filipino friends come over. It's just amazing to see. And then the diversity of food selection is also pretty cool. So you can have sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie. You can have green bean casserole and some collard greens with some fat back and some neck bone in it as well. So it does give you a nice opportunity to experience diversity in food choices as well. So it's a good experience.
It's great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you and I have worked on legislation on race before.
Yes.
But you and I have also said most of the issues on race are heart issues in America.
100%.
They're family issues and heart issues. And so while people say those people in Congress should do more on it, I was like, okay, that's true. We still have tasks to be able to do legislatively. But most of the issues on race are heart issues and family issues, and everybody can engage in that.
Well, I'll tell you what, your commitment to helping bring people together is fantastic. Your experience as a pastor and now as a senator continues to bridge gaps and creates a stronger, healthier country. And frankly, one of the things that we both worked on as a part of the CARES package was this notion of making it easier for people to give to the charity of their choice and get a deduction off their taxes for it, a line item, so to speak, where even if you're using the standard deduction, you still have the ability to make a small dollar, so to speak, contribution to your church or your nonprofit. You championed that cause. You ran that through the tape, so to speak. You want to talk about that for a few minutes?
So the simple way to be able to look at this is, where's the safety net in America? And that's a big challenge. Some people look at the safety net in America and they say the government is safety net. I just disagree. I think the safety net in America, there's 3 of them. Families are the first safety net, and those people immediately around your family. Second safety net are churches and nonprofits. Third safety net is government. And if everybody says, well, all the safety net, all the support for everybody is going to all have to be government, we'll never be able to keep up. Government's not efficient enough, relational enough to be able to keep up. So the best way that we can do right now is strengthen families. Stronger families, more people won't fall through the cracks on it. Deal with drug abuse, deal with homelessness, deal with mental illness, all those things. Families really take care of that first. Then the second thing we do is make sure we got really strong churches and nonprofits, because they're also working on homelessness, and they're also working on feeding the hungry, taking care of folks with mental issues, taking care of drug abuse. They do that all the time on it. So one of the ways that we can do that is through our tax policy, as dumb as it sounds. So what we did earlier this year is this year in the time of the pandemic is any person in America, whether you itemize your taxes or not, you can give $300 to a nonprofit. Nonprofit of your choice.
Yep.
$300 to a nonprofit, you can write that off on your taxes directly this year. So you can either go $300 to Uncle Sam or $300 to your church or a nonprofit or whatever it may be to be able to help people in need, and you get to write that off on your taxes completely. I'm pushing to make that bigger. Why? Because I want to make that safety net stronger. If you're making the nonprofit world stronger on that, they're freed up to be able to help more people. That helps more people face to face than government can, because government can just write a check.
Yes.
And the nonprofits locally can actually be there to walk through life with you on that. So I think it's important during the time of COVID. I think that's long-term important as well.
I love that. Well, I know we're about out of time. One last question. Well, you may not be prepared for this question, but I know that you have a wonderful family, and your mother lives in Texas, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you're not going to live in South Carolina or Oklahoma, God knows Texas is a great place to live. Does that make you more inclined or less inclined to support America's team? I mean, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I gotta know. Are you? I know you're born again and blood baptized. Last week we had Emmitt Smith, the #1 rusher in the history of the NFL, on this program.
There is no way Instagram didn't hear that whisper of Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, well,
There's no way they didn't hear that on the microphone.
I didn't hear it; just came off the top of my head.
I just have to tell you, this is a total setup question because Tim knows I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan.
See?
And still am a Dallas Cowboy fan on that. And
I call that good parenting.
it is good parenting. You'll be glad to know I hung out last weekend with Chad Hennings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does my heart good.
3 Super Bowl rings for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's pretty remarkable follower of Christ as well.
Awesome.
And,
Jason Witten was as well.
Wooden, yep.
Last point here. If all of you are wondering how it was that Dallas Cowboys pulled out that victory this past weekend, 40-39, now you know why. People pray for the Cowboys. God bless you guys. Take care.
Take care.
All right.